Oh, man, my bad. I was asleep, taking a nap. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate everybody stopping by real quick. So I have, I think I messed that up. I think it's the 24th round, 25th round. 1 second. Round 25. It's the 25th round. So I have the Wesley versus Alireza Firouzja game. So they played so many Blitz games. They played like 30 games or something like that. So I literally have like a week's worth of games to show. So I will not be running out of material anytime soon. So I should be able to go back and cover everything. I got to check and see when the next tournament is coming up. So I'll see when, when some action gets back started. But as always, for my people in the Philippines, Magandang Araw and Magandang Hapon. I almost out tayo. It's still breakfast, but it's getting, it's 10 something in the morning, so it's getting close to afternoon. And as always, for my people that are coming from Iran or who do speak Farsi, I will say salam to you, assalamu alaikum, and khili mamnoon. Appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, taking a look. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. For anybody who is coming from Paris, because they did hold the tournament in Paris. But if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we have for this game. We got D4. Let me line my... It's always something I forget. Always something I forget, man. There's a lot of things to check before you get live. So we got D4, knight to F6. We got C4, E6. Knight coming to C3. We have bishop to B4. E3, castles. We see bishop to D3, and we got D5. So we have the Nimzo Indian defense, bishop attack, the classical defense. As you guys see on the board, this should be a very familiar structure to all of you guys. Of course, there's always like Catalan type stuff. There's always Slav, semi-Slav type situations that could come up. Ragazins, stuff like that, But we do see the Nimzo Indian. So pretty famous opening there. So we got A3, pawn takes, or bishop takes C3, pawn takes C3. We see C6, knight comes to E2. So, we're not really immediately trying to capture this pawn. Neither side really wants to break the tension. We see B6, and now we see pawn takes D5, pawn takes D5. We got F3. Now, F3 is pretty instructive because this knight does have the ability to kind of try to hop in, especially when you have these types of games, these D4 situations, when you have these type of structures. This knight loves to try to hop into E4. A lot of the times when you have the knight already committed to here, this knight can just pretty much live on this square. And then just to be like exclamming it, just to be a super thorn, a lot of times your opponent will play F5. And then that knight is really, really hard to dislodge from E4. So it can get kind of annoying. But we see bishop to A6, wanting to trade this bishop. So we see E4, bishop takes D3, queen takes D3. You got queen to C8. You see castles by white. You got queen to A6. So Firouzja is like on a trading rampage. He says, man, let's trade. Let's just keep trading. Not sure why. It's actually okay for each side. Maybe be slightly better for white if white's trading, but, not anything crazy. We got queen down to C2. So says, I don't want any of that trade stuff, man. You keep that trade stuff over there, wherever you're at, which just is on the other side of the board. But anyway, we got knight over to C6. We see bishop to G5. And then we see knight to E8. And this is the novelty of the game. I believe the other game that we saw was actually knight to D7, which is pretty logical. I mean, you maybe one day want to try to move one of these, get on one of these squares as black. And, knight to E8. You could possibly try to jump around a little bit to C7 and, maybe kind of come down here. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do. We do see bishop down to H4. And I have to be honest, I don't really agree with bishop to H4 because, your bishop isn't attacked sitting on that square. So it's kind of like, why not leave it there? You might be able to kind of do something else that's more, forward, productive. Maybe go ahead and just pop, push E5. And then after queen to C4, you got A4, F6, pawn takes F6, knight takes F6. At least this way you kind of gave, black kind of gave you, kind of a weakness that you could try to train on. But like I said, bishop to H4 just kind of seems like it wasted tempo for no reason. I don't know. That's just me. I mean, I got my opinion. I might be wrong. We got queen over to C4. We see E5 now. F6, pawn takes F6, and knight takes F6. And we got queen over to D2. So it's something a little bit similar to, kind of what we saw before. But the bishop hadn't moved. We see rook A to E8. Rook F coming to E1. We see knight back to D7. bishop down to g3. We see e5, pawn takes e5, knight d takes e5. You know, of course, as I've said, I used to say a long time ago, you know, whenever you're moving the knights, you always want to make sure you know exactly which one moved, because you don't want to be analyzing your games and then you make the mistake of like putting the wrong knight and then you get messed all the way up. You know, it's happened to me a few times. It's really annoying. So we got knight to f4, you know, just adding a little tickle to this pawn here, asking it what it wants to do. Does it want to be alive or not? We got d4, trying to get rid of that weakness there. Rook a to c1, pinning the pawn. So, you know, you could have possibly taken here, but, you know, you'd be looking at check coming up here, and you'd be really, really good on these open files like this. So it's probably not beneficial for you to do that. And then, you know, d3 does give you a passed pawn. So that is something that white has to be careful about. Rook comes to e4. Nice little intermezzo move. Or not intermezzo move. Nice little, like, you know, just the tempo gain is what I'm meaning. And so we see queen to c5 with check. We see king to h1. Queen takes a3. So it looks kind of iffy for white. You know, because you're like, man, I just lost a pawn, right? But you do see rook c to e1. And you are doing a pretty good job taking over this file and you know, trying to pin these knights down to this to these rooks. So we see queen back to d6. We got h4 by white, and then we see queen coming to h6 for black, and that might be kind of annoying. I mean, you're kind of pinning this knight down a little bit to the queen, so you know, you kind of have to figure out, you know, what you're going to be doing right here. So we have reached a point in the game that if you do want to stop the video and see what white actually plays here, it's a pretty nice idea. It's a great idea, actually. Go ahead and stop it and see if you can figure it out. All right, cool. So for those of you that noticed, black is weak on its F file, specifically this diagonal. Now, for those of you that noticed that you can place a check on A2, this actually just completely just like folds black position completely. So queen to h6 is a like game losing blunder. And it is after the move queen to a2 that Alireza Firouzja does resign the game. It might not, like, I mean, to some of you guys that are looking, it might not look like it's that bad, because you're just like, man, I could just kind of sidestep over here, king to h8 or something like that, or just block. But I mean, you're going to be losing some material. You at least have the threat of losing material, which ultimately is going to end up in you losing material. So, like I said, after queen to a2, Firouzja does resign the game. Now, if we take pretty much best play for black, this is what you're going to end up with. The rook would come to f7 and block. You don't want to go king h8. You see knight taking d3. And as you guys can see, this knight is pinned to this rook. You also, with this move, have opened up this bishop. So you're just threatening just to win an entire piece right here. So that is one piece that is pretty much going to be gone. You have possibly queen to e6 trying to break this pin and try to trade queens, but you know, as white, you want to avoid that trade. You're saying, hey man, I'm just going to go ahead and go queen to a6, avoid that trade, and then the queen will come back to c8 trying to trade again, but then you just have the ultimate like we're not trading with queen to a1, and then in this position, the computer is actually suggesting rook takes f3. So you're looking at this like, wait a minute, man. So you're telling me like the computer just wants me to throw my rook away? Yes. The computer says this is the best move in this position. So like I said, when you get to a point where the computer wants you to start throwing pieces away, that's where you know it's done for. You know, like I said, I mean, this knight is pinned because you cannot move it, because this rook is going to take here with check, and then you're going to be taking here. You're going to be losing your queen and a rook. And it's just like, it's just not, I mean, you're down. Well, I guess at this point you're down, but nah, yeah, you don't want to be here. Like, you really don't want to be here as black. So, like I said, you know, Alireza Firouzja noticed that, and after queen to a2, he just went ahead and threw the towel in and said, forget it. And that was all she wrote. So that was another one of the wins Wesley So got. And as you guys are familiar by now, Wesley So has won the tournament. So he is the winner of the Grand Chess Tour Paris Rapid and Blitz. So this was a nice game, and it's crazy because like literally up until this point here, both sides are fairly equal. You can even maybe say black is slightly better because they do have this pass pawn here, and they do also have a pass pawn on the A file. So if they can get those pawns rolling, it's kind of bad. It's kind of crazy. And this queen to H6 just literally just threw the entire game away. Yeah, it's tough, man. And that literally is what separates like you being okay to you just losing a game just completely. So that is that. And for all of my people in the Philippines, getting to these good mornings. You guys saw last video, I was able to literally like blow through all of them real quick. So let me see how good I look right now. I might be all right. So maanyong buntag, mayad na agahan, naimbag na bigat, masentos ya kabosan, marhe na aga, buenos dias, maanyong aga, mapia na uma, kapian kapuno dios, mayap a abak, mayad na aga, mapia agay, mapia kapapita, my big abukla, Maraja na buntag, Marya mainat, Maupai na aga, Kasan yangan si LUB. Assalamu alaikum. Salam to you. Merci beaucoup. And I got them again. Man, you guys that have been around since I first started those, you guys know how bad I was struggling at trying to get through those just to get them first couple down. And man, like I've come a long way. So, I mean, I think I did pretty good, man. So I think hopefully everybody appreciates my hard work and effort I put in. And you guys literally saw me struggle for weeks trying to get those down. And I'm spitting them off now like they're nothing. So it's shifting back to Tagalog. And I'll be working on more of that and getting, you know, as much Tagalog as possible. So what I do when I see you guys' comments, I translate a lot of that stuff and I write it in my notebook. This is literally a notebook I have that like this has all kinds of Tagalog and stuff in it. So I'm learning phrases and words and stuff like that. And, you know, I might be conversating here coming up pretty soon. But I appreciate you guys very much. And I'll see y'all next time.